Dear Nutnfancy, I am an ER phlebotomist. I want to carry my AR-15 pistol. What is best single-point sling to hide under my scrubs?
We've had questions like that.
Not exactly that, but pretty close.
Nutnfancy, how do I hide my full-size Glock 20 10mm under my scrubs? I am a medical professional. I watched your review on the G20 and I want 10,000 foot-pounds of energy in my defensive handgun. It's actually 30,000 because I got 2 extra minutes.
It's a ton. It's
That
awesome.
is impressive. Grizzly handgun. I love the G29. I've reviewed them both. TD here in the bunker with me, ladies and gentlemen. This is a systems video attempting to answer not that question. We're being a little bit, facetious about the Glock 20. No one's really mentioned the Glock 20, but they have mentioned what?
They have mentioned a 1911.
They want to carry a 1911 under their scrubs.
Yeah, and I remember he said an officer frame. He said, what's the best way to carry a 1911 officer frame with scrubs?
And I've heard G19 a lot.
Yeah.
And G26 and G43. We've had that question throughout the years here in TNP from a wide variety of medical professionals, from paramedics to clinic assistants to ER assistants to PAs. Any number of medical professionals that wear scrubs, and that is going to be the springboard, kind of the foundation for this systems video here in the bunker. Lots of cool stuff in the background, by the way. And love having TD. TD is fun. And if you don't know, TD does have a medical background. He's an EMT, has been one for years and years. He's worked in clinics and he's dealt with these issues, so it's really helpful to have his perspective here. And we're going to get into the nitty gritty, maybe some carry options that would work for you, specific carry options. What you're going to get in this video, though, is basically an opinion piece. Okay, it's not legal advice. It's not state, jurisdiction, company policy advice. We have no way of knowing of where you live, what your policies, what your laws are. We will not even attempt to address those. That is entirely up to you to apply or not apply those. It is your option. What we will focus on is the philosophy of being armed in those situations. Does it make sense even? If you do it, what are a couple considerations you might think of? And then we'll get into some specific carry methods to do it. And that's what's going to be called. So it'll have the title of, how to carry a Glock 19 under your scrubs.
Yeah.
But it's going to be more than that. It's going to be anytime you want to deep carry. Anytime you want to have a handgun on you, and we're going to focus on handguns. We do have a couple non-lethal things, less than lethal things we'll show you. We'll talk about those a little bit, some considerations. But we're focusing on the handgun. And we're focusing on self-defense, right?
Yep.
Now, you may have the option in your particular situation, as a lot of civilian sheepdogs have had, I've talked about this at length, to intervene in a active shooter situation. There are so many ramifications involved in this, and it even gets more complicated in this situation. Why is that, TD?
It is a very different environment if you're working in a hospital, and this is, at least in my experience, coming from what you would think is a gun-friendly area. You know, the clinic I worked at, the hospital I worked at, people were shooters, they were carriers outside of work, but I definitely wouldn't want to be seen armed inside the hospital. Definitely not around any of the patients, but even people that I would think, hey, they should be a shooter, they should be cool, I wouldn't really trust it. I would count on that environment being pretty hostile to the very idea of being armed, and that really changes the entire carry system, because the stakes go from, tilting your shirt up and someone going, oh,
in
dude.
a Walmart.
Yeah.
In an open carry state, which we are in, so you can open carry. So brandishment really isn't a big deal. He's got a Glock 19. Hey, have a nice day.
Yeah, you're just as likely to make a friend than you are an enemy, whereas in the medical environment, you're more likely to lose your career and maybe find yourself unhireable in your immediate area.
Now, there's a philosophical reason for this in the medical community. The way I see it, you can chime in. Medical professionals, everyone associated in that profession, see themselves as healers. And when they see this as a life taker, that they don't understand that this is actually a life preserver in many situations. That if you have lethal force presented to innocent people, and I've talked about this in so many philosophy videos, they're really the only effective, proven way to stop the loss of life is with another gun. But medical professionals usually don't understand that. They don't see that as the way things work. And I'll give you a personal example. This is all part of the foundational philosophy of this video. I was at Fairchild Air Force Base. I was a captain in the Air Force. I was a pilot. I came off flying status the Friday prior to Dean Wahlberg, or maybe it was a Thursday, but Dean Melberg was the guy's name. And he came and he shot up the Fairchild Air Force Base Hospital. And he actually went in with a gun, doesn't matter what kind of gun it was, came in and he leveled it at my doctor, Dr. Isaacson. I may have told this this story on camera before. Aimed it right at him, and it wasn't the person he was looking for. Established eye contact, and Isaacson said, "Hey, I thought I was going to die." Wasn't the guy. He went down the hallway and started shooting the people he felt were responsible for the loss of his Air Force career. Okay, there's a crazy man doing crazy stuff and in a medical environment. And so that guy was one of these medical professionals, and he was pretty much anti-gun. I knew him. I knew his politics. He didn't like guns, but he said to me at that time, "I wish I would have had a gun. Had I had a gun, I could have saved a lot of people." Because as it was, that Melberg guy went out and shot more people. They subsequently passed away. And then how was that shooting stopped? With an M9 Beretta from a security police guy who dropped to his knees and is like the third shot from like 75 yards out. I don't want to focus on the story, but it shows the disconnect oftentimes the medical profession has. And yet here we see in a medical environment, an active shooter situation, people died. How was it stopped? With a gun. A good guy with a gun. So getting back to TacticalDoodle's point, they go, "Well, it's crazy. You'd have this LC9S on you. I mean, you're part of the problem." No, actually, I'm part of the solution. But because of politics and groupthink and misinformation, people don't see the gun as they should in the hands of responsible civilians as a life-saving device. You go through all this, you go through your pre-checks, and you go, "I still want to carry. I still want to carry."
That's a question you really need to ask, and you need to dig deep, and you need to read your workplace's policy first, because I wouldn't decide on, "Hey, I'm going to start carrying," unless you know that you can see through your little telescope what the stakes are. Mm-hmm. Because you might not think they're as bad as they really are, but even if you were to brandish, even if you were to take out an active shooter, you might find that you end up showing up the next Monday, and instead of being a hero, they think you're a psychopath too. They go, "Hey."
If you've spent a lot of schooling, a lot of time, and a lot of money getting this profession, you need to protect it. And so, and you're not going to hear this from any other YouTube channel. This is real. This is real stuff. It's not a bunch of horse shit that you hear everywhere else. Think about it. Is it worth it? Because you have a career going. What if someone discovered you being armed and they go and tell your supervisor, and next thing you know, you're terminated? Is it worth it? In that 0.0000001% chance that you would ever have to use your firearm in the workplace. Now, you guys know through all the years, I've been a huge advocate of being armed and wherever I'm at. And that is my own personal decision. I've made it a long time ago. It is how I work. I'm armed wherever I'm at. I am. I always have a gun. That's my decision. I've also weighed the responsibility, the liability, the training issues to do that, the carry issues, the equipment issues. There's a lot involved. Go watch my concealed carry protocol video posted in 1972?
Yeah.
2008. It's that, but you got to really kind of work through these issues, unpack them, and really meditate about them and see if it's worth it. And he's been there. So you got your dream job, and next thing you know, you brandish, and someone sees your Glock 48 in your scrubs. What's the repercussions? Is it worth it?
Another thing to think about is exactly what your job is, because we've gotten the question a couple different ways. We've heard it from, if I were a dentist and we're wearing scrubs to the office, I would feel fairly comfortable carrying in that situation, especially if it's like a private office.
It's my business too, so I don't really have this whole oligarchy standing over me. I'm running my own business there.
One of the reasons a lot of at least nurses that I've talked to when I talked about carry, because I actually worked with one RN that used to carry in his underwear a little crotch pocket gun. And he said a lot of times when he would mention, or at least ask around, hey, can I carry around here? People would always get this crazy idea, which if you work with patients and you work with enough crazy people, you get to understand how physical it is. You can't really depend on a certain range of motion. It's not just picking up a stretcher. It's not just moving a fat dude from one bed to another with a little sheet trick. It's weird, crazy stuff where you may be writing on a clipboard and then someone's hugging your entire leg. You got to plan on every inch of your body being at least groped or accessed by a crazy person. Yeah.
You're bump frisked constantly.
All the
just
time.
as part of your job.
Yeah.
And he brought up a point. We're kind of concentrating on the medical thing, but there's a lot of other jobs you guys have that would fall into the same category.
Teachers,
office workers, truck drivers, working in retail, that I want to be armed, but my policies are restrictive and I want to go deep carry. So everything we're saying will actually play to that. But TD right now is talking about basically the physics of carrying a chunk of metal on you somewhere all the time. And that's a big deal because someone can bump by you in the hallway. Oh, what's that? Because it will stand out. I've had that happen when I've been carrying like in the bellyband carry, which I'm going to talk about. I love it. But at the same time, it stands out and there's going to be some eyebrows raised. What is that? And you might be able to fool them. You can have like, I don't know, a radio and a belly band. You go, well, it's my radio. I listen. You can fool people. Yeah. You can like do that and it's an option. But that's definitely something, again, you need to think about a lot.
That's what the ED techs usually complain about when they would say, well, we can't carry because a patient would be able to get our gun from us. No matter where it is, we couldn't retain it reliably. They'd be able to reach down into our pants and get it. Next thing you know, there's a crazy guy with a gun in the ward. I don't really think that's as possible, but that's the image that the unfamiliar people kind of have in their head already, and that's
well. Here's the deal on body carry, and when we're talking about a deep carry scenario, actually any carry scenario, if you do have a gun on yourself, on your person, I should say, it can be used against you. The thing is, if it's deep carry, do they know about it? If you're doing it right, nobody knows about it. And so then you don't really have to worry as much about retention unless you get into a rough and tough scuffle. And then they know, oh, this dude's got a gun. Then it's a fight for the gun. Ask police officers all about that. We have a ton of TNPers, ton of TNP patrons that are law enforcement officers. This video is for them as well. And they'll tell you, then it becomes a very interesting situation. That's why mostly on-body carry with police officers and all types of law enforcement officials have a high security, high retention holster system that takes a special procedure to extract the gun out. But if you have it concealed, then your job's going to be a lot easier. If they find out, though, then look out. So, yeah, it can be used, and generally anybody who carries should practice weapon retention, holster retention. Cops do it all the time. A lot of cops that do get injured and killed, it's done so with their own duty weapons. Mm-hmm. And so they are actually taught, I think, in most departments, hey, do not let this happen. If you have to use lethal force to prevent this from happening, then do it. I'm no expert, though. What do I know? I'm just a YouTuber.
But it may put you in a weird position because you have to imagine, at least if you're working directly with patients, when you're carrying and lifting people, weird things happen. You just, you could be lifting up a little old lady by the waist and you have her like that. Yep. She feels like she's slipping and she does this number and you sit there and suddenly you're faced with, do I drop this old bitch? Or...
Gotta edit that out.
Why? That's way funny.
Okay, keep going.
Suddenly you're faced with the idea of, oh no, she's going to feel like if I'm carrying under my shoulder here, do I drop her? Do I try to hide the fact that I'm armed? Is it worth the risk in this moment? Because if I leave her, she might grab it and, hey, what is that?
And something can hook your scrubs and just lift your shirt up. Anything in the workplace. It could be an IV stand that hooks the back of you. Jeez. And now you've got a belly band carried Glock 43. And what are you going to do? And both arms are full of patient. See, you got to think it through. Is it worth it? Now, the next point I want to bring up is, do you need to carry it on your body? Now, I'm a big advocate of on-body carry. I've said it over and over again, totally. But now we're in a different situation. We're in a deep carry situation, medical workplace situation. Maybe that's not the best option to go for. what you have to ask yourself is, do I have a secure place that is mine?
Yeah.
That is not accessed by anybody else, that I can lock up and make it secure. Again, we don't know your company policies. We don't know your city, state policies. That's all up to you. I'm just saying just a random situation, let's say it is legal. If the answer is yes, then maybe, just maybe, you can keep your handgun in that secure location. Number one would be concealment. No one knows about it. No one knows it's there. It's secured. Have I done that before? Absolutely. Did it in the military all the time. Yeah, deployed with a Glock 34. I was going to say 43. It's a 34. Totally did. Loved it. I would do it all over again. But I employed in that situation the very things I'm talking about here. I studied it out. I looked at my options. Is it worth it? My answer was yes, I did it. But I was flying in some pretty hostile places and that's the gun I wanted. Do you have a secure place? And if so, think about it. I'm not saying that that's your first choice, but think about it. Maybe it's within 100 feet of you and you can access it if there's a situation. Is it ideal? No. But you're doing your job. You're not a security guy. You're not a cop. And so for you to be doing, your medical job and you're really focused on active shooter, really focused on who's who and, am I going to have to use a gun today to defend my life? I'm sorry, but that should not be your focus. Your focus is doing your job. Your focus is helping people. It kind of racks and stacks well down the order, in my opinion, of what you should be focused on. Should it be in the mix? Sure. And I'm talking in the medical profession. In other situations, maybe it's higher. But maybe it's a locker with a lock on it that no one else can get to. Is it accessible within 60 seconds? If the answer is yes, then maybe that's the way to go. Maybe it is. Ideally, you'd have something like this. I mean, this is one of my active shooter response kits. Go check out that video posted, 4 or 5 years ago. This is a 511 Ranger bag. And in it, I have a Glock 40. I have AR-15 mags. I have Flexicuffs in there. I've got a tactical knife, which, what would you think it'd be?
Infidel.
I wish. I'm not going to dedicate an infidel to this thing. No, it's Endura, VG10, Dura 4. I've got a flashlight. And other stuff that would really answer that type of situation. It weighs 11 pounds. You might see my sticker on there, but this is actually designed to pair with a tactical carbine, an AR-15. Kind of like this one right here. And you ain't going to be putting this in your locker. You would like to, right? No. But that's I'm using that as kind of an extreme example of off-body carry. Now, I don't think it's realistic, and TD weigh in on this, I don't think it's realistic to have any type of off-body carry in a deep carry situation that's on your person. In other words, let's say you pare this down, it's just a single 9mm pistol, Glock 43, 2 mags. Are you always going to have it with you? I just don't like that idea of carrying it around because you can set it down somewhere and forget it. Something distracts you. You have a bleeder in the clinic, and all of a sudden you left your carry bag there. It's not locked up. Someone could zip it open and look at it, and now we're right back to square one. You're busted. And you'd be a lot better off to keep it locked up. If there's some type of secure area, secure case that you can lock it up, no one ever looks in it, no one messes with it, no one ever x-rays it, it's an option. That's all I'm saying, off-body carry.
Maybe I'm too paranoid, but I see it this way. If it's on hospital premises, if it's on their property, I count on them doing at least some kind of spot check or some kind of...
They can. It's a private area.
People are snoopers. Whatever you put in there, for all you know, some dude brought in some weed, and they're like, you know what? Today we're going to go through the lockers and check it. Maybe you're a couple years into working at this place, and suddenly, hey, everyone, no notice inspection. We're just going to look through and make sure everything's fine.
Might be a little bit paranoid, but you never know. I mean, this day and age, who knows? And they could have something happen where, hey, we're looking for this substance, we're looking for this thing, we're just going to go through everything. Again, this is not an easy answer. It's going to be a complete answer as we see it, though, as best as we can tell. So we talked about you thinking about it. Do you really need to carry? What you really need to do is protect your job, right? You spend a lot of time and effort in it. You can't be a police officer and a medical technician at the same time, usually. Do you think you can?
I've never heard of anything like that. I'm sure there's lots of guys
I'm using the word police
cool.
officer, but I'm saying basically the protector of everybody in that hospital.
Yeah. And A lot of the security guys I've seen aren't armed at hospitals either. I mean, at best, it's some college kid he's kind of in
I don't
shape.
agree with that because I've seen cops there and they almost always have a sidearm with them.
Those are cops, though.
But there's basically one per hospital, maybe one per floor. And so, you have a shooting situation and he's basically 5 minutes out.
Ours, like the one I worked, the guy had the little panel with a couple LCDs so you could kind of see what's going on the floor.
Yeah, there's all types.
He wasn't armed, though. He had like a taser and pepper spray. And you're counting on him, at least if a situation happens, he would have to gauge it through the VHS quality monitor amongst the 9 others he's supposedly watching, and definitely not on Instagram. And he would have to see that, gauge it, then respond to it on the other side of the floor. I mean,
now, you might say, we're just using a medical example, but it could apply to everywhere, workplace, environment, whatever type, office. But we might say, well, it'd be great if they had a really relaxed concealed carry policy. I do see the benefit of that, but let's step back and see why a lot of companies don't do that. And it's one word, liability. Because they don't know who's carrying those guns. They don't know if the guy's going to be in the bathroom and his gun drops and whatever reason, he panics when he picks it up, he fires off a round and he hits someone in the stall next to them. That business is going to get involved in their policy and they don't want to deal with that. That is generally why businesses at workplaces, as I see it, don't like their employees carrying. Am I wrong?
That's the main thing.
It's liability. Maybe it's anti-gun, maybe it's not, but it's really about liability. They don't. And it's kind of like law enforcement agencies are the same way. Say, hey, if we're going to have this officer carry this gun, he has to be trained in retention, he has to be trained in shooting, because the agency is going to take a lot of liability in that officer's decisions and his shoot-no-shoot decision. The same for the workplace. So it goes back to what we first said, is that you have to understand that you might be just sailing your boat out onto a dark ocean and making your own calls on this. I'm not saying don't, just think it through. And then you mentioned a security guard with non-lethal or less than lethal options. Is that an option for deep carry? Maybe you say, God, you're right, Nutn. TD, that's a lot of responsibility carrying the gun. Maybe I'll go less than lethal. I think it's an option. There is a huge caveat to this, and I have a couple less than lethal options. I don't have one of my Taser C2s with me, but you got like an impact device. This is cold steel. I've got a freaking OC grenade right here. Awesome. Like a saber red pepper spray OC. And what else? Non-lethal. I think that's about it. Oh, here we go. ASP police baton. Each one of these has its own, training levels you'd have to have down, its effectiveness levels. Police officers generally don't like OC spray because it usually gets on them. It gets in their cruiser. And so they usually like an impact device and preferably a taser device. Are these an option? Yes. Don't think that there's some, problem solver, though, because if the guy decides that he has, a gun in the workplace, he starts shooting people, and you're going to go up there and spray him in the face and save the day, is it going to work? You're probably just going to get shot, and you're probably going to die. So, I don't know. It is an option, though, non-lethal stuff. Getting busted with something like a can of pepper spray, I think you could survive that.
Yeah,
in most situations, you'd probably get reprimanded. You wouldn't necessarily, again, I'm broad stroking this, get fired for that. They bust you, with this, that's different. Because, again, the medical profession looks at these as evil.
But I want to not mention the active shooter as much. I know that's what some guys carry with, but I don't think it's what you should be carrying if you're working at a hospital. Picture this. You're hired as, let's say, right out of college, you're a medical technologist. You're not working directly with patients. You don't get one of the cool parking spots that they give to the doctors. Awesome. So you're in the city, and the place you park is in an unlit parking lot 4 blocks away. So now you're in the city.
Totally awesome.
You're working at a hospital, which, keep in mind, hospitals are not just it's not a bunch of wealthy folks there. You're getting everybody. You're getting a full section of society, and alongside those are
a lot of bad guys.
Meth heads and people that look for drugs. And where do they keep drugs? Hospitals. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Right at your workplace.
So they tend to attract different crowds sometimes, and you do make a fat, juicy target, knowing that every day a certain dude comes out of this place and he walks this certain route to his car. I think for that stretch from the hospital to your car to get home, I think a lot of guys want to carry for that. more than they want to carry for saving
Good
the floor
point.
from an active shooter.
I like that. That's
And
perfect.
honestly, I think I could explain this away a lot more and just go, hey, it's spooky out there. It's unlit, it's scary, we got tweakers running around here.
High crime environment. A lot of urban hospitals are in high crime environments. Some aren't. Some are near college campuses, but that's an awesome point.
And there's scary stuff. What happens if like a gang member gets shot, he comes into the ward and whoever shot him wants to finish it off? Talk to anyone that's worked in an ER.
There's a lot of
and
stories about that.
Tons of stories like that.
Yeah. But we'll reiterate our focus, and that's a great point, is that your focus should be on your job. Saving people. Again, we're doing the medical profession, maybe not being Joe Weapon. I'm just saying, for instance, if I worked in an ER, I can tell you right off, I would not be carrying a gun on my person. There's no way. I'm too focused. I'm too busy. If someone comes in and decides to shoot me, oh well. Oh well. I'm doing my job. I'm saving lives. You know, I can't do everything at once. TD, do you agree with that?
Yeah, when I worked in the hospital proper, I didn't carry anything. It wasn't worth the mental load of constantly trying to hide it, constantly worrying about it. It just wasn't worth the risk that I'd be taking, both to my job, to my career, to my school, to honestly, just the hassle of doing the paperwork. If I were to get found, that alone was enough. And I really didn't. I was in a high target environment. If there were a mass shooter,
That's right.
I had pretty good parking, so I didn't have a big exposed stretch where I'd be exposed to, meth heads, I guess. But I felt like I had more confidence in my ability to sprint than I did my ability to maybe keep a gun hidden in my underwear all day, every day for a 9-hour shift.
Agree. 26 minutes in, and it's pure philosophy. Which I think is great, by the way.
It's a big
Because
philosophy.
this is a serious subject, and we're trying to answer it in a quality fashion in the bunker. Okay, and now remember what he said. We're going to go into specific options. So let's say, for whatever reason, you can carry a gun on your person. What would be the best way to do it? We've gone through all the philosophy. You've made your own decisions. Oh, and by the way, you didn't mention metal detectors. Most hospitals have metal detectors.
Yeah.
So going through that, that's a whole different thing. What's the best option, Nutnfancy? And maybe it's a non-medical professional watching this and they want to deep carry in an office environment. Let's kind of go to that a little bit.
And there are tons of jobs out there that just like scrubs because they're easy. It's a uniform. They make it look somewhat professional. They're cheap. They can wash them and dry them. So they could be anything, really.
What you need to approach this as is as a professional carrier. And a professional carrier is very low-key. They are so good in their carry system. You would never know they're armed. They don't act like it. They don't modify their behavior. You never see them brandish. You don't see bulges through their scrubs, through their office clothes. They are good. And that's, if you decide you're going to be that, you're going to be like a freaking secret agent. You're going to be like a deep cover narcotics officer. That's how good you're going to be. And the systems we're going to talk about right now will be along those lines. Now take this into consideration. Your body type. I don't know what your body type is. Do you weigh 120 pounds and you're 6'4"? Are you 5'5" and you're 300 pounds? I don't know. Your body type really drives to what will work for you. For instance, look at the height difference between TD and myself. This is genuine. So this is my son. No, it's not the mailman's son. I know a lot of you guys think he is.
We checked.
I know, it's my son. And there's a big height difference. So for what a lot of these carry options really work well for me, for him, he hates them. They just don't work. I'm going to start off with ankle carry. And here's a Jetfire 950 and 25 ACP. And the holster is a Galco neoprene backed by sheepskin. Is this an awesome deep carry method? And, we used to have a bunch of ankle holsters. I think we've sold or given away some. I don't know if it's awesome. It is an option, though, and I have used it. And with certain pants, it works pretty good. You have a slow draw. It's you can brandish with it if your pants right up, but with a black colored holster like this, it's neoprene. It blends very well with your socks, and so it would actually your pants leg would have to go all the way up around here before most people would notice that's a gun. When I've carried ankle, and I carried Uncle Mike's for years. Like when he was a kid, I carried Uncle Mike's ankle holster. I didn't really like it. I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of a chunk on my ankle. And I would bang into a lot, and I only recommend using a small pistol like this, a 950. We have a couple others we're going to show you. Maybe you do something like a North American Arms 22 Magnum. Yes, it's workable. what's going to happen is you're probably going to buy and spend a lot of money on holsters to find out what works. And that's just the nature of the business. What you could do is jump into eBay and buy some used ones. Because guys, I think if eBay allows them to sell, I don't know.
This one, the Galco's really good. For
I do
heavier
like
guns,
that one.
it's a little floppy sometimes, but honestly, I've gotten a lot of mileage out of my Glock 26. We'll say it's...
Are you running the same holster with your G26?
Yeah.
Oh.
And it fits
ankle?
The Walther PPS.
Well, talk to it.
It's the exact same
I
holster.
totally forgot you were doing that.
So for this, let's say a hypothetical friend, he actually used this when he taught in school every day. So this was his main super concealed carry. Galco, either Glock 26 or Walther PPS, and then an opposing...
He's talking about himself.
Yeah. An opposing one, and again, it's illegal, blah, blah, blah. Maybe your state allows it, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, they totally allow it, and it's just no one ever needs to know. I think it's a good holster. Also, if you have another thing in your collection, like if you're carrying an LCP, you can get cheap little $14 holsters on Amazon, and it has like a little retention strap.
There's a lot of them that come up and hook to your calf. I never liked those.
It's good to keep it from flopping if you're running, but it's really uncomfortable unless you're wearing super long socks, because that Velcro will scratch. It's just irritating. This one, since it's got sheepskin on the inside, I always thought it was pretty cozy. Or, I mean, he said he thought it was really, really cozy. If you do get it and you're going to hide these, and it's just part of your system now, buy like an extra 2 inches on your pant legs. That usually, it's going to bunch up. It won't look cool. You'll look kind of skatery, but it hides it pretty well in most.
Long pants to really, really cover the gun. And I also wear this on the inside of my ankle, not on the outside, because we're talking deep carry. It's really easy for someone to bang in your pistol on your ankle on the outside.
Yep.
Would I do this in scrubs? I don't know. TD, I probably wouldn't. Anytime I have a chunk of metal in this, it's what he said. I mean, just constantly people are banging into you. It's your job. In an office environment, yeah, I would. Yeah. Because people aren't banging into you all the time. So inside ankle, no one's going to know. And generally, office pants, dress pants are very long, easy to drape over. Yeah, you could totally get away with an ankle carry. Lots of good options. We're going to put some links down there below of some of our current Amazon favorites. Hopefully this one's there. I have liked this one, the neoprene Galco. It's cost effective. I love that. And also neoprene is stretchy, so it kind of hugs that ankle and really kind of conforms to the pistol and sucks in there. The downside is in warm weather, it's kind of warm and sweaty. In the wintertime, you'll like it a lot better. So ankle carry is one option. For deep carry, scrubs carry. Next up, one I have a ton of experience with, and I've ran it for many years, is the bellyband carry. I had one that was heavily used around here, bundled up with rubber bands. Here's one that's just coming out of storage. This is basically a wide elastic belly band. And so it has kind of a universal pistol holster. I think I have discussed and shown these over the years here in TNP. Here's extra mags. They're cost effective, and believe it or not, they work fine. Now, what this particular version does not have that I will always put on my belly band carries is like a loop over shoulder strap of Velcro. So we're going to belly band wherever works on your frame. Maybe you go high, maybe you go low. If you're a skinny guy, I would say probably go lower. If you have more of a spare tire, I would go higher. Experiment. And then get a Velcro strap, sew Velcro on it, and then cross it over your shoulder, either straight across, kind of like a state trooper strap, or go diagonally. Experiment, and that helps carry the gun, it helps stabilize it, and I've carried that way for probably 7 years. The Walther PPK that TacticalDoodle has stolen from me was carried that way forever in a belly band strap, and no one ever knew I had it. It's actually better than my Galco Classic Light carry. It really is. It carries so concealed. It is awesome. What you absolutely want to do is have a thin pistol, though.
Yeah.
You're not going to do a J-frame. You're not going to do I would never do a Glock 19 that way. Maybe a Glock 48, G43 for sure. We have a G43 somewhere right up in here. And here's my Galco Classic Light in my G43. This is kind of my go-to carry rig. So the G43 is thin enough to get away with. I would probably even look at something thinner than that, kind of like this LCP2 we've been showing you, which is one of the best 380 pistols currently made. Most cost effective, this one is in sage green.
Shoots great, super concealable.
Oh my gosh, reliable, decent firepower. This would be my number one choice for you guys for deep carry. LCP2, I have a couple of options I want to show you. I've shown a couple already. Put that in a belly band, put a Velcro overstrap on it, you're in business. Yeah. You're in business. I mean, you might even be able to get away with it in scrubs because this is such a small pistol. It's a small pistol. I don't know. It really hides well. The North American Arms 22 mags are another way you could carry, and that no one's going to know. And man, is it going to be secure because it's going to bury in that freaking pocket. You can even put that in one of the magazine pockets. But remember, one of the tenets we're saying of secure carry, deep carry, and that is security. There is absolutely no way you want that gun coming bouncing out. I don't care if you're running, jumping. So you need to not just put it in a pocket, but it needs has a secure overstrap of something on it. So you can basically do jumping jacks in the ER, and that gun is staying put.
So if you're grabbing a stretcher and someone on the opposite end is doing the thing where it expands and lifts up, it can't smack you on the belly and go boop.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, hey, what? Ah!
Now, be smart. We talked about how your scrubs get lifted up by an IV hanger or something. That could happen. But also with belly band carry, you can actually go under your t-shirt, which I did. And then you have a t-shirt over that tucks into your underwear, your boxers, whatever. He wears Speedos.
Yep.
I don't know why, French cut. But you could do that. And then you have kind of a layered system because even if your scrubs run up, your t-shirt stays tucked in kind of like this, and your belly band's under there. And chances of you getting busted, to be totally honest, slim to none.
They drop down a lot more.
With the right gun choice. I mean, you're not going to do that with this. Hells no. Or anything thick or big. I probably wouldn't do it with an LC9. It depends on the carry or what situation I'm in. In an office environment, I would. I love belly band carry. It's effective. It is sweaty. In the summertime, you're going to sweat, and I just got used to it. Being armed, then when I get home, I peel it off. It's super lightweight. It hardly weighs anything. And I don't know for whatever reason, but it's fallen out of favor these days. Not a lot of people belly band. Maybe it's because everyone's just doing IWB. Inside the waistband, we're not going to address because I don't think that is generally, and I'm talking like normal belt inside the waistband. I just don't think that's a super smart choice in deep carry.
It's really, and honestly, one of the most painful things I've ever felt in my life was when I was carrying the Ruger LCR in the waistband, and I had it in the front, and we were doing our my EMT intermediate class at the time, and it was one of the days we practiced with stretchers.
Oh,
and I wasn't planning ahead, and they dropped the stretcher with just a couple 100 pounds of meat on there, and when they collapsed it, it hooked onto the LCR, which just crushed my balls.
Dude.
It was bad, and it I was holding the weight up, trying to go, all right, how do I do this without calling attention to myself? It
hurt. And actually, ladies and gentlemen of TNP, that was the second most painful thing that ever happened to him. The first most painful is when his pet hamster Zippy died.
That was sad.
Also, cool. So, belly band carry rocks. Next one I'm going to cover is actually pretty interesting. You didn't see this one coming, and I highly recommend it. In
Purse
a deep
carry.
Purse carry might work. Another talking point. But this is going to be called the shell game. Okay, and the shell game I've played for a long time myself when I deep carry. What the shell game is you buy a small fanny pack like this East pack, like this Mountain Smith Vibe 2. I've talked about these forever. And you carry them with your normal EDC stuff. Wallets, keys, flashlight, benign stuff. Breast spray, by the way, your breast stinks. Whatever, floss, all kinds of fun stuff. And you let people see you getting into that fanny pack.
Get
You open up, you're in the break
chapstick.
room. Yeah, let me get this. Oh man, check this out. I mean, I've got my, my Smith's card, People get used to seeing you with this. Now, what's going to happen, after a while, 6 months of them acclimating you to being a complete dork wearing a fanny pack.
Carrying your Magic the Gathering cards and your Blue Eyes White
With
Dragon.
your Gundam figures and your Star Wars figures and talking about them. The fanny pack that you wear is going to become, guess what? Invisible to them. Because they're used to it. He always has a fanny pack. He is a dork. Nutnfancy wears a fanny pack. Maybe you got them from him. I don't know. But now you can see where I'm going with this. Now, as you see fit, you can swap in your pistol in that fanny pack. Don't use a gun fanny pack. That's not what I'm saying. Don't get an Uncle Mike's gun fanny pack. Gunslinger 2, whatever they call it. This one has been modified for my pistols. See the Velcro I glued in there? And what do you know? I have a holster in there that will fit a Glock 43. It'll fit a PPK. So I have a holster, Velcro backing, and then I just access it normally through a zipper. Does that look like a gun fanny pack?
No.
No. And if you choose a lightweight gun that does not weight it down, like an LCP2, you could even the LC9S, you could probably get away with. It won't weigh so heavy that it looks weird carrying on you. And now you just have a little game called the shell game. You can swap it out as you want. And this front pocket can still carry your Star Wars figures. How special is that? So you can have, what's your favorite?
Yeah, your Chewbacca.
Chewbacca, Boba Fett.
A Man.
Yeah, you can go in there.
All the hits, all the classics.
And you still keep doing what you're doing in the break room. You're accessing, like, oh man, check it out. Oh, I got a pen right here. You get in here. Now, you're not going to have carry place for everything. Your wallet, all your light, because the gun's going to take up some room. But it's pretty cool. Here's the one I modified for carrying, I believe, a Glock 26. Forever, I carried a Mountain. This Mountain Smith was modified by myself. You can see my stitching. This is my own back stitching. I have a hard plastic back plate, which I found very beneficial because it distributes weight. I don't have the insert in it right now, but imagine a hard plastic back plate with a holster that fits a gun horizontally, and it Velcros really tight, really secure on there. So we have a lot of benefits. We have absolute security. We can actually get bump frisked with this because people are used to you having it, and they don't know what you have in there. They're probably, oh, he's got his Star Wars figures in there. You know, he's a dork, whatever. I really like this option. You can have your gun with you all the time. There are some downsides, though. You're going to have to get used to wearing a fanny pack. A lot of you guys hate that. Also, your office environment, your workplace environment is not conducive to wearing this. And that's a lot. Like if you're supposed to wear a suit and tie, you're going to be walking around with a fanny pack? No. But in some of y'all's jobs, it will work. Fanny pack carry. Ooh, I like that one. The shell game. Awesome. One I would not recommend. TD, weigh in on this. Pocket carry.
Never, ever in any possible multiverse would I ever pocket carry, especially in a medical situation.
Here's an awesome Kel-Tec P32. Go watch my review on it. Reviewed years ago here with the right loads. It's actually something. I'd much rather have a 380 on me. But look at how narrow that is, how lightweight that is. And also the Kel-Tec P3AT is another option, but it's in a USK right now, Urban Survival Kit, so we didn't dig it out. Great gun. And this is actually a pretty great pocket holster, probably a Galco product. It is. Here's the number on it right there. Cowhide. There is some resistance, so it fits snugly in there. It breaks up the line of the gun. It can go in your pocket. But remember, and this is just an opinion piece, remember, one of our tenets is security. What you never ever want to happen is that you could, for whatever reason, you get an unusual presentation, you're upside down, and then your gun comes falling out of your pocket, boom, goes skipping across the floor. Now, can you modify that with an elastic strap of some sort and anchor it to the pocket? Yes. But you don't. Oftentimes, guys I know who pocket carry, they don't just keep the gun in one pocket. Maybe they throw their keys in there too. And now they're fishing something out, their pocket knife, their keys, and they unknowingly, without thinking about it, draw out their pocket holster. And again, it goes skipping across the ground.
It just doesn't work with scrubs. If you're wearing like Levi's, pocket carry can work because it's a little bit tighter. The material's a little more durable. It resists just bunching up. But in pajama pants that you're tying up, it's just impossible.
Yeah, and again, we're using that scrubs, that medical uniform as a good example of, I don't know, kind of, like you said, they're like pajamas. Maybe your job, you have bigger pockets. Maybe for whatever you do, you wear cargo pants. More doable with cargo pants because you can actually lock it into a side cargo pocket. You can actually put Velcro on it to secure it, albeit I don't like weight down there alongside my thighs. That's why I don't like drop-down rigs because it's noticeable when you're walking, and also you're going to be thinking about it. Even a lightweight gun like an LCP2, any one of these guns we're showing you, you're going to know it's there. I like to carry it high in the pocket if and when I did it, but I just don't think it's secure enough.
What I did try was in the cargo pocket down by my knee, I cut holes in it. That way I could put a strap through for that little pocket holster. But in the end, it was still too bulky.
But notice what he said is he's experimenting. And so you experiment at the house, walk around at the house, and just use it day after day and find out what works with your body type, what works for you in your specific situation. Now, I do love the Galco Classic Light. This is a horizontal-oriented carry holster. Do I use it as a deep carry option? I might surprise you in saying maybe. In civilian life, normal CCW, the answer is yes. I deep carry it all the time. Now, let me define what deep carry means in that situation. It means that no, I don't want anyone to know that I'm armed, But in the off chance I'm in like a buffet line or something and I lean over and my gun swings out and someone notices, not the end of the world. Because I live in an open carry state, not the end of the world. Now, in my rig...
Do you want me to throw it on?
Well, this one doesn't have my elastic straps because I've put elastic straps with stainless steel clips on it and it clips to the belt. So my rig, when it's on me, I can tilt and it will still be like vertical and it's sucked to the side. So, yeah, I think it deep carries in most situations. In this situation, in scrubs, no way.
And with this body type, it's a bit harder. I
No
got
way.
like a 39-inch chest or something like that. I could throw it on, but it's really easy for me to have it stick out.
And also, you have a bump frisk problem with this situation.
Yeah.
By the way, this isn't sized for him. I think I sized this for me. So it's
Really?
not, does that fit you? Is it
I don't
sized
know.
for
It
you?
seemed like this is the smallest one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still too big.
Okay, so there you go. TD's got his Galco Classic light on. In most situations, you wouldn't know he has a pistol, but I guarantee if I run into him in the hallway, I can feel the extra mag. Look how that prints through his pajama top.
And this is 2 sizes bigger than my normal scrub tops. So this is
See what
like
I'm
a
saying?
large.
So in a really deep carry situation with something like that, I wouldn't carry it. But if you can wear a loose shirt with stronger fabric or more stiffer fabric, yeah, you could. Another thing that will show that you have a holster on, and Mrs. Nutnfancy says this all the time, she'll go, oh man, I can see the strap poking through your top. So that's another reason why I wear collared shirts. I always wear collared shirts. Well, not today. I'm actually wearing this. So this isn't collared. But if I carried with this right here, then you'd have the same problem. The collared shirt hides it. So probably not in most workplace deep carry situations we wouldn't do it. So covered some good stuff. And now we're going to go probably the last one. And there's some others that, well, actually I'll make honorable mention, but let me cover this one first. Crotch carry. This is something I don't have a lot of experience with, but crotch carry would be like with a Thunderwear product. So it's something that it has its own attachment strap. It goes down in front of your crotch, and you can put a small handgun. And I guess people don't know it's there. It seems like it'd be a real uncomfortable thing for me.
That's what that RN tried to sell me on. He had a car CM9, I want to say.
Uh-huh.
All stainless steel. He said he carried crotch every day, all the time. He did say it smelled terrible.
Ugh.
I remember that.
Gross.
That was a great detail to know. But he said no one ever looks at your space
jump
in your
space.
crotch zone. Mm-hmm. He was like, even if it prints a little bit, most of the time no one's going to really mention it as much.
Those
it's not
are all
as comfortable.
good points, actually.
He swore by it. He said it wasn't super comfortable when you sit down, especially if you're like carrying stuff or grabbing big things. But for his body of work, it didn't seem to matter.
And for his body style, maybe.
Yeah. He
So,
was tall.
Try it. I mean, maybe if I'm fine, I'll put a link below. I've always wanted to try Thunderwear, but I'm so happy with my situation in civilian carry when I carry the way I've shown you, a Galco Classic Light. For all the reasons I've told you, it works great. I don't want to go off it. So, and plus, I do carry a fanny pack, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Way more prepared than you, by the way. Multi-tool, tactical blades. Enough Nutnfancy, we've heard about it.
4 tactical blades.
On my person, when I have my fanny pack with me, I have about a total of 6 blades.
It was like opening up the Barney bag the other day.
It's like a clown car. One clown after another coming out. For Thunderwear, though, this would totally work.
Totally.
Is this the best, defensive gun for, I don't know, self-defense or even active shooter? Absolutely not, but it beats nothing. LC9 might work. You'd have to try it. Glock 43, he's carrying it right now. Might work. This would totally work. P3AT, LCP2, these are good options. Experiment with it. And then the honorable mentions, I will say, before we wrap it up, maybe those stupid, I don't know, their side electronic carries, they clip to a belt. They just scream gun to me.
Oh, yeah,
They're so
the
dumb.
fake cell phone case.
Yeah, the fake cell phone case. I wouldn't do that.
It's nerdier than a fanny pack.
Yeah,
It says a lot.
back in the day, they used to use pagers. They had fake pager cases.
Actually, a lot of hospitals still use pagers, but I still wouldn't stick mine out like that.
But everybody you work with knows what the real pager
Yeah.
looks like, and they're tiny these days. This pager now, if you have one, is like that.
And the last thing you would want is to hear like a whoop, whoop while your hands are busy and someone's like, here, I'll help you.
Hey, what's
Wait a
in
minute.
there? There's some other weird options that I'm not covering that actually go below the belt line. They'll hook to they will draw out. I don't remember them offhand, but they'll like carry deep, and then you actually draw them up. and then the gun is actually hidden in your pants, but you have to draw something up. I forget the name of them. And I've never tried those. Those could be good too, but remember, bump frisking is a reality.
I'm sure there's all kinds of crazy. I'm sure someone has like a fake fat belly thing that's a holster inside, and you probably stick your hand in the fake stomach and draw out. I'm sure there's like ass crack carry somehow. There's 1,000 solutions to this.
There's probably a ton of people below there and give you no other options.
I swear by crack carry. You're crazy.
Just make sure you use a lot of Vaseline.
I got my Derringer in there. That's why you get stainless.
The Papillon carry. I would say think about it. That's the foundation of this video. In certain situations, it probably isn't worth your hassle. Off-body carry in a very, very secure location that you can trust is an option. That's up to you according to your policies, procedures, and laws in your area. That's something you have to consider. Consider less than lethal options. It's better than nothing. Employed properly, for instance, this ass baton can become a lethal option. For instance, if I'm in an active shooter situation, the guy's faced away from me, and he's doing his business, and I come up behind him, one strike to the head, that shooting situation's over. Forgot to mention that. So they can actually flex to a lethal option in dire circumstances. That's all we're saying. But think about it. There's a lot of repercussions that if you get busted, is it really worth it? Covered some good systems for you. Ankle carry, the belly band carry is awesome. Probably not shoulder carry, no. Thunderwear for sure. Pocket carries probably out. Maybe you differ because of your uniform that you have. And then I love the shell game with the fanny pack. That's it, ladies and gentlemen, from the bunker. By the way, we got some fun stuff in the background here in the bunker. Temperature, by the way, is 47 degrees. We got a heater going. All right, thanks for subscribing. This has been a feature-length systems philosophy video with TacticalDoodle, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us in his scrubs. See you in Patreon. See you in the YouTube environment. Over now.